Hey everyone, what is going on? It is BradPhusion here and welcome back to Re-Engineering, where today's episode I'm going to be showing you guys something that I've spent quite a while making and is probably one of the most complicated machines I've actually made in Space Engineers to date. Though it doesn't really look it on the outside, there is a lot of functions going on the internal side of this machine. So what you're seeing right now is my version of a basic DDR machine in Space Engineers. If you don't know what DDR machine is, it is a dense sense revolution pad, which basically means that you have to step on the pads during the right sequence or during the right pattern here to be awarded more points and so on and so forth. It's usually a competition based thing, but right now I've just built a single pad in a single world here. Now you'll see on the front of my character here there's actually a screen that lights up with certain colors. If I stand still for a moment, you'll see it actually light up blue right now, and then it will go to another color, I think yellow maybe? Or am I mistaken? Yes, yellow. Okay, cool. I'm surprised I actually got that one. Anyways, this is actually reading from a track I have down below. Now, the way this game works is that you see my character down here, I have to step on these right colored pads at the right time, and when I do so, a green light will turn on to say, yes, you've done that at the right time, which is the basics of how this thing actually plays out. Quite simple, but there's a lot more complications to it to actually show you guys. So let's actually go outside here. I'll show you guys how this thing actually functions when it's actually moving. So right there down below, you'll see the track I've actually created. It's quite a long one, I think about 1,000 meters long or so, with these black blocks on it that are the notes. Now these notes are picked up by the sensors underneath here, because it is a slight differentiation from what the actual blast door's height actually is. So you'll see them there triggering when the blocks go past, like so. Now these sensors trigger these pistons here. When these pistons go out, they'll trigger this other sensor here that triggers the delay pistons up the top, which then kind of lets the light stand for a little bit longer. When the piston reaches the end there, the piston will then, the sensor will then tell that piston and this piston to go back, like you'll see there, like that. Now that is just basically to get the lights to go on and to get the OK command to go through. You'll notice these little sensors here turning on and off. Now this is to know that the right note is being played. So like that, it's right now a red note going right past. Now if I was to stand on my pad up there, say for example the red pad, this piston here would extend. Now when this piston here extends and this sensor is on, the green light will come on. However, if this sensor is off but I'm standing on the pad, you won't get a green light. So it's basically an AND-like command. When the player is standing on the right color and the sensor is on, then we get a green light. That is the basic functions of how this thing works. However, because of the limitations with the sensors, there are a few bugs, and I've had to overcomplicate it just a little bit more than I would have liked to. Hence why I have all of these pistons and all of these sensors, and there's actually quite a lot of them. So anyways, this thing's almost ending here, and it does quite a neat thing when it actually ends, so I'll show you guys that in a second. But I also have a stripped down version over here with a cockpit that I can kind of demonstrate the basic functions without having to move the track or anything, just so you guys get an idea of how this thing actually plays. Now I will be putting up on the workshop, but I will say yet again that there are a few bugs on this thing, including the green lights not turning on and not turning off at the right time. Now this thing can handle different tempos depending on what speed you want to set these thrusters to at the back here. Now you can have these turned on constantly, meaning that over time the track will slowly get faster and faster. However, I don't recommend going too fast because the sensors won't actually pick them up in time, which is slightly annoying, but it's something I can't really help with. Now in a second you'll see it end, and you'll see it end by all of these actually lighting up at once, which is kind of cool, like so, to kind of signify that the track is either ending or starting. Anyways, let's go over here and I'll show you guys this is my original version I had. This is just a encased one with prettier lights and everything, just so you guys can see that intro. But anyways, this is a stripped down version so you guys can have a peek at it and to know how it actually works. But let me just go through where all the sensors are and how they actually interact with everything. So down here we have the track, which is made out of blast doors. Now I have these normal armored blocks in here because they are slightly more elevated, and I'll show you guys the sensors range in a second, but basically it's just above where the blast door is, but just enough to pick up where these actual blocks are, hence reading it as different colored notes. I've actually color coded everything to make things a little bit easier for you to understand as well. So if we go down here, and let's just say I delete one of these blocks here so you can see the sensor actually triggered on. So it's just down here in by one. So if I go here, delete and put one there, you'll see that these sensors will be triggered only slightly for a few seconds until it's actually turned off again. But I can demonstrate that a little bit more upstairs anyways. it doesn't help that it's also one block as well. So if I separate it here and here and here, you'll see it'll now turn it on like so, because it was the same item, and sensors don't pick up from the same ship unless it's on a piston like so. But now you can see that they're actually toggled on like this, and there's actually 2 rows of sensors. This first row here triggers the pistons like I've showed you before, but it's obviously retracted now because the delay piston has actually triggered it to go back in. The second one up here I believe is for the OK switch, meaning that when that one is activated via the block here, this little sensor is actually now turned on, meaning that if I step on the pad right now, this one will extend out, it will activate, and then I'll get a green light to say, okay, you've done that at the right time, like so. There we go. Very, very basic stuff, but I can show you guys a little bit more using the seats itself. But yeah, no, that's the basics of the track sensors. Then we have a few sensors up here for the player. Now, the first lot of sensors up the top here are basically just controlling the light. So when I stand on it, it'll know which one I'm standing on, and it will activate the light to go with it, like you see here. Simply turning on light yellow on and off when I stand above the yellow light. Pretty basic stuff. Now the sensor down here actually triggers the trigger pistons, which are the ones that you see over here, the second row here. Now this will extend these out. Obviously it will, you can trigger them at any time simply by standing on them, and I can just show you guys this right now using the camera view. If I put the camera view over here and walk on the pistons, you'll see that they'll now actually activate like so. So yeah, that's the trigger pistons that activate, letting me know that, or letting the device know that I'm actually standing on that right one at that time. Now obviously the green light won't go on unless the sensor's on, like you see there with the red one, but pretty basic stuff. So let me just go into the seat now, and I can demonstrate a little bit easier how this thing works without having to worry about the track actually going past here. So let me get the camera here, and I'll just show you guys the basic things. So when a track or a note goes past, this will happen. That piston there will activate, hitting those 2 sensors, like you see, which will then cause this one to go out here. It'll touch that sensor, and then it'll tell, or that sensor will tell that piston and that piston to retract, like so. There we go. Pretty simple, and also that light will turn on because that is one of those sensors there as well. Now the next one I can just show you blue as well. Does the exact same thing, no variation there. Now also when a note goes past, these will toggle on and off like I've got assigned to one of my hotkeys here. So when I'm standing on the pad, for example, like that, it will actually extend as long as I'm standing on it, but once I get off of it, it will retract. Now as you can see, that green light doesn't turn on at all, regardless of whether I'm standing on it. It will only turn on if I've turned this on here, which is normally when a note is underneath. So now if I stand on it, it will go green, like so. That is the basics of what I've done for this track so far, or this actual machine. There is no failsafe, or sorry, a fail state. I have been thinking about slowly, a piston that slowly goes up when you stand on the wrong ones. That just signifies that once it reaches the end, you'll have done bad, and you know, it'll turn on a certain light or something to say game over basically. Now I haven't gotten around to doing that because that would involve a lot more programming and actually redoing a lot of what I've actually already done here. Now I'm going to leave this as it is right now and put this up on the workshop for you guys to see, to explore and to test around yourselves and even make your own track. This one here is already pre-set up. You can just delete all the notes in it. Sorry, well it would have been when I reload the save. But that track there will be over here, and you can just redo it how you want, put whatever notes on, even sync it up to some of your best music if you really want to. But that is the basics of the machine. I can go inside here and just show you all the complications I actually have. And I even got to the point of running out of names when naming things, but here is all of the things that we have. We have all the pistons up the top here, all the sensors down here as well. It's just a lot of naming and a lot of annoying functions that have to be tied in with a lot of these sensors, but regardless of that, this one here just toggles on the correct sensor. But no, hopefully you guys have actually enjoyed this. Sorry for stuttering and whatnot. I've actually done this video probably about 6 or so times before I've actually felt this one is the actual one. But yet again, I will be putting this up on the workshop. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. I don't think I've seen anything like this in Space Engineers done before. It uses some of these sensors as AND gates or OR gates, depending on how you want to look at it or what function I'm actually talking about. But yet again, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll leave this here. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Stay awesome, everyone.